Hello folks, and welcome to our channel. Well, what a few days it has been. I'm currently filming in front of that. Isn't that majestic? And what better place to channel Emily Bronte than in front of that? And what better place to channel Emily Bronte than in her home? What? Not the parsonage. We didn't manage to pull that off. But this cottage that I'm doing this video in is like literally, the parsonage is just over there. We're in Haworth, and I had a few ideas of people that I wanted to film for my channel in this month for November, and I thought, I'm not going to channel anybody else in here. I mean, this is a converted cellar because this is the kitchen downstairs, which is a converted cellar with a hearth. Who else is going to come in here and chat to us? The past few days in Haworth, I mean, some people call it paranormal activity, spooky activity, witchy activity, whatever you want to call it. Haunted, not haunted, that's a bit of a brutal word. Has been very, very, excuse me, interesting. Very interesting to say the least. At the time of filming, we've currently done a video. When I say the word ghost hunt, it's not a ghost hunt as in the tacky entertainment purposes only things that you see online. There's nothing much you can say in the title apart from ghost hunt for people searching for that type of thing. So it's down as a ghost hunt, but it's also ghost stories and channeling from Haworth, where me and Gary went through various places, starting in the graveyard, and the findings in that graveyard in front of the parsonage was phenomenal. Phenomenal. It blew my mind, it blew Gary's mind. The whole night was phenomenal. I will remember, if I remember, I'll put that video below because it's from our other channel, The Thackeray's. I share many of the stories in there, many of the experiences that we've had over the past few days and other previous visits to Haworth. Last night when I was laid in bed, and I was not getting stressed over today's content, because I don't get stressed over content and videos, but I was getting, is it right to channel in this house because this isn't my usual house? is it right to channel Emily Bronte's? Or even though I've channeled her before, I was overthinking things. It was almost like a creative thing I was picking up on, and I turned over in bed and I literally felt somebody do that on my shoulder as though to just ground me, and the hand was definitely feminine. It was as you'd expect a hand to be. Very feminine, very small, very gentle. Wasn't scary, it was comforting. And I thought, yeah, what better place to channel her? So the few days that we've been in Haworth, I mean, I've been coming to Haworth for years. Not every year, but for years since being a little girl. And there is magic here, there's mystery here, there's mythology here. But one of the things I've noticed, especially this time, is the absolute overrunning of people, the closing down of many shops. I mean, for example, we needed to get some food in. We couldn't even eat in some of the restaurants down there. Long story. Anyway, so we said, let's go get some food. Let's go to the high street, which is a main street, and get some food. You couldn't get anything because there's no shops there. So there's no butchers, there's no fruit, there's no veg, there's no bread, there's nothing like that, no dairy, nothing. So you had to go right into Keighley, is it called, into the co-op. And we were walking back up and there was less people there than through the day, but it was how different it would have been compared to back then. And even the parsonage, it just feels like everyone wants their piece of the Brontes. And yeah. So let's see what Emily has to say about it all. I've gone on a waffle tangent, which I promised I wouldn't, but let's go for it. When I tuned into her energy this morning, my mum and dad had a picture years ago in the 80s, 90s, definitely the 80s, 90s. I can't remember if it was Hans Christian Andersen, I can't remember. Anyone watching me from that generation will know what I'm talking about. And it was, I think it was of him writing, and it was like a swirl of energy around him with all different things going on. When I tuned into her energy and welcomed her in before we switched play, that's what she showed me, that portal-like energy, but it was over the parsonage. with all of their stories, all of their creative, like a vortex of energy. And one of the things she's saying is many people come to Haworth to get that energy, but it's not there. It's not there. There are many people that come to Haworth, she's saying, to create something and find that they come up against writer's block, creative block. That it was the fact of all of their energies coming in at one point. Because to make, let's call it a spiritual grid, a healing grid or whatever, a creative grid, it's about the tools you use, it's about your energy. So all of those people coming in at once, making that portal. You're saying, take the Bronte energy out of it, take that magic out of it, and the further you get away from it, the further you get away from it, the further you lose it. Okay, so let's see what she has to say. What would she like to bring in today? She's showing me the Bronte parsonage where it's split into two. There's the parsonage we know today and there's the parsonage we knew then, okay? The Victorian parsonage. And she's saying both parsonages are very, very different. The parsonage you go into today is so far removed from what it was, it's like you may as well not be there. One of the things she said to me yesterday when I was, because I've been connecting with her throughout the past few days, was if you feel passionate about the Brontes, if you feel passionate about and a connection to this area, you don't have to be here to feel it. You could be set up in Scotland and feel the connection to Haworth. And this is where we're going from the days of dense 3D energy into soul expansion, where we're starting to realise everything is within us. There's aspects of everything within us. All the different stories, all the different experiences, everyone. So it was interesting, she was saying two totally different things at the same time there. That's interesting. She literally, it's like having a conversation with someone and they said two different strands of information and it came in at the same time because it was and I was like, okay, how do I make sense of that? And she said, that's what's happening now with the Bronte history. There's that much information now. It's getting very, very, very distorted. She's saying the truth is you will never know who the real Emily was. You will never know who the real Charlotte was, the real Anne, the real Branwell. You will never know who any of them really were. It's impossible. But what you are getting is a little fragment in amongst the creation. She's saying like we created characters based on situations around them. It's almost like people, for although Emily Bronte existed, she's become a character now, where each person puts their own narrative on her. She said to me yesterday as well that they don't haunt Haworth. They don't haunt Haworth. You won't walk through Haworth and see a dress running up the steps towards the church and oh, that's Charlotte. That's not happening. Want to talk more about that? She's also saying, I've channeled Emily before. 5 years ago, was it? I think 5 years ago, 4 years ago. One of the things she's saying in this channeling is she has finally broken free of it. Finally broken free of the moor. Finally broken free of the parsonage. But then I'm also being shown the fact that the moors that she visits isn't those moors, the physical moors. She's saying it's all about dimensions, you see. People go into that house thinking they're going to hear me screaming through the house or dying on the sofa. But they're not. And if they say they're seeing that, then they're very mistaken. But I am in the parsonage in a different dimension, in a place that can't be touched. She said it's the same parsonage that I was able to connect with when I lived in the physical parsonage. Does that make sense? She's saying there's no way that any of them could walk through that physical parsonage right now because of how it's changed, how it's been manipulated. One of the things I picked up on the moors when I went walking on the moors the other day, we were talking, me and Emily, about, because I did an episode, I'm like many women. It was cold, the air was blowing at me, I'd done a full face of makeup, as you do when you go on the moors. And literally, my eyes were just constantly watering. And I've always been the same, but more so with perimenopause. And she was saying, just fuck it, Claire, and let your eyes water. What's the problem? You're on the moors, who's seeing you? Why can you not just let your eyes water? Why are you stressing over it? It's fresh air, it's your clearing, just leave it. And we were talking about the moors as I was walking up to the moors, and the fact that I'm walking up in walking boots, in waterproofs, woolly up. They would have walked up in dresses, little dainty shoes. And she was talking about even walking across those moors barefooted. And she said something about the fact, we talk about the rise in divine feminine, she says, but even that is being manipulated. What is the feminine energy? Is it whimsy and floaty and dresses? Or is it raw and wild? What is feminine energy? And we must be careful as we start to go through this evolution that we don't become too whimsy, that we don't lose our rawness as women and our capability as women. So she's showing me herself now as a very capable woman in the parsonage, very much like she was before in the previous channeling, where she's in the kitchen, the house, cooking, cleaning, looking after the house, mending, going up on the moors, creating, writing, reading, all of it. We mustn't lose our abilities. We must learn to balance the masculine and the feminine. Now, the masculine and feminine are my words, not hers, but does this make sense? What made you who you were as a writer? What created Wuthering Heights? Where did it come from? My soul, her imagination, the moors, the ghosts that haunted the parsonage, the ghosts that haunted Haworth. It was her anger at the world, it was her anger at women, anger at men, anger at family life. Anger at Haworth. She's even saying many people claim that she needed to be at Haworth all of the time, and she's now giving me a different perspective. And many of you will understand this, I know you will, because what she's saying is, Charlotte travelled, we know that, but it wasn't a case of I need to be in the parsonage, she needed to be away from people. Now, in the ghost hunt, we talked about Branwell being a highly sensitive being. And I'm not going to repeat what I said in that video because it'll just make this video all about, and I don't want to do that. If you want to see that, I'll put it below, go watch it. But she's the same. It's people that have attached her to the moor, to the house. Does this make sense? There was an aspect of her that needed to be there. Even she thought she needed to be there. But she's since realised on her evolution that she didn't need to be there. Does this make sense? Remember, channeling, we're not talking linear, we're talking all over the place. And needed to be away from people. I mean, the destruction, the devastation in Haworth was profound at that time. I'm hearing the ringing of a bell. It's not like, I don't think it's a church bell, but it's a bell that signifies another death. I don't know if they'd have had a bell at the parsonage, but there's a bell, and it's like you'd give it a good rock rattling. And when that bell goes, it's almost like your blood run cold. She's saying Haworth is cursed. The land at Haworth is cursed. I've been sensing some strange energies whilst I've been here. The land at Haworth is cursed. Okay. When do you know when that happened? 15th, would it be the 1500s, 15th century? Because I'm seeing between 1501 and 1503. So between 1501 and 1503. So I'm seeing a group of women, witches, who are doing magic. Something happens to them. I'm wondering if these women were the Bronte sisters in a different incarnation. Something happens to them. And one of them, it's also connected to the Pendle stuff as well. There's a connection between the Pendle stuff. Now, I know the Pendle stuff happened a lot of time after that, 17, whatever it was, 16, whatever it was. Probably, possibly, I don't know. It'll have been going on a long time. So there's a connection between Haworth and Pendle. Something happens to one of these women. They're taken out, arrested, whatever. So it's the mother that's taken out and arrested and taken somewhere and killed or flogged or whatever they used to do back then. The daughter of that witch is also a witch and has to then leave. And I think there's a connection between leaving Haworth and going to Pendle, and curses the land at Haworth. And it was a pretty bad one as well. She said it's weakening over time, but it was a pretty bad one. It was very ripe in the Victorian times. Now, after we did our ghost hunt the other night, I then, it wasn't a ghost hunt, I did it. I didn't go for somebody else and do it. And I promise you it's not as ghoulish as you think. I then came back and did lots of research of the things we were told. And some of the things that were happening in Haworth, like the graveyard swelling and bodies going down the street, the high street, body parts. The graveyards, it's all peaty, you see, so it's all swelling and going into the church, and people would be studying body fluids from the graveyard because it was a fresh graveyard. They're not like it is now, so it'd been fleshy and horrible, and disease and sewage and everything. She's now taken our attention to the... oh God! That's it. Because back in the day, when you were a witch, you were against the church. So the man of the cloth at the time, whoever was the vicar, priest, whatever, reverend, parson, he would have been the one getting rid of you. So if you were going to curse anyone, it'd be the church. It's the church and or whatever. Another parsonage is 1700s, but that area, who knows where the old place was that present vicar, reverend, whatever he would have been called. So, are you keeping up with the story? So the witch then goes there. You'd go to that. So that's why that's the hive of activity that you feel around there. She's got a very dry sense of humour. She said it helped us to create. She said they were obsessed with ghosts, especially Emily, obsessed with spirit and obsessed with ghosts. She was talking about the Kathy ghost. The other morning, early hours of the morning, it must have been 4 o'clock, I woke up. And let me just, I can't show you there because the windows are kind of like that here. Yeah. I don't want to keep making people feel sick. I'm swishing the camera. But they're not stone upstairs, but there would have been stone, but they've been boxed in. But it's that type of thing, but they've been boxed in and made modern, okay? I woke up in the early hours and I swear to God, I felt at the window and I heard a female's voice. I don't drink alcohol. I don't take recreational drugs. I'd woken up, I'd gone to the toilet, I'd come back and I was like, oh my God, that's the Kathy sound. Could the Kathy sound be the witch that comes back to knock on the windows? You've seen there's a few of them do it. And that's where she got the idea of Kathy at the window from. So where he hears a tap at the window, he goes and has a look, doesn't he? And she smashes through the window, doesn't she, the ghost of Kathy, and then drags his arm out. I swear to God I heard it. And I'm not bullshitting you. I swear to God I heard it. Excuse me. Where are we going next? Did we answer the question where we asked about what made her... We did about creating the books, and then we went off on a tangent of the cursed land. She's pointing to her third eye now, and her third eye was completely open. Emily's third eye was completely open. She was completely open and raw. Society did not know how to deal with her, and that's another reason why she stayed a lot in the parsonage, because to be a Victorian lady of the time, to be like Emily would have been a definite no-no. And so there's part of her that wants to stay in the parsonage, but there's also Patrick Bronte that wants to keep her in the parsonage because he's concerned of how people will view her. And the book, writing the books, helped her to get a lot of that out. Those people lived and existed in here and in here. Itchy nose. Let's have a card. Let's have a card. So this is the Old Style Tarot by Alexander Ray. Let's have a card. Let's have a card from you, Emily. Can we have a card for those watching? Let's have a card. What was I saying to you? That's also interesting as well. I said her third eye was wide open, and look at that. I'll tell you why this is why. Yeah, that's weird as well, because I've been doing a lot of research on Branwell whilst I've been here and his Masonic connection. I didn't realise how high up he went within the Masons and the Masons of Haworth. And he was part of the Three Graces Lodge. Now, the Three Graces are also part of the Tarot, where it's the Three of Cups. And they've got their cups up, bringing down the divine wisdom. You know me, don't you? The rising Scorpio came out to play big time in Haworth, like really big time. And I'm like, I wonder, see, because you've not seen the ghost hunt that we did, there was some very interesting information that came out about Branwell and about the narrative about his death. And I was sat looking at all this stuff online about the fact that he got so high up in the Masons. And I was like, I wonder if there was some influence in what happened with Branwell at the end from the Masons. We've then got, she shows me her third eye blasted open. We've got the Three Graces there, the Three Graces Masonic Lodge, that's what it's called, and we've got the Hanged Man. Now, didn't Branwell do a picture where he was a hanged man? He did it when he was the upside down, where he was hanging from his throat. So, and then we've got the Three of Cups next to it. And then we've got the Ten of Swords, which is betrayal. And then we've got the Emperor. Now, we did the ghost hunt. I'm going to briefly go into it. Got an itchy nose, got an itchy nose, got an itchy ear at this time. That's blown my mind. The Emperor is the father, or is it somebody that was in charge of the... In the video, cut a long story short, it came out that the narrative around Branwell's death was possibly a faked narrative, that he could have killed himself. And we're in the graveyard getting this, and it's like, this is just wild, and it just got wilder and wilder, because we're talking to John Brown the sexton, and like the next minute Gary says something like, do you know whose grave he stood in front of? Right, and I actually didn't, because when I'm doing stuff like that, I don't research what, I just literally went to the graveyard, and I was looking around for a place where we wouldn't be plagued with people, because we wanted to do some filming. We filmed the graveyard bit in the light because I didn't want to go into the dark and do the graveyard bit. And as it worked out fine, and a good idea, because there was stones around us, gravestones. It was just wild, really wild. And I was like literally stood at John Brown's grave, not realising I swear on my life, I did not know I was there, right in front of his grave. The graves, that you really have to look at the names on them now, because the time has taken its toll. And it came up, Don Brown is saying that the records have been messed with, history's been messed with, something around Branwell has been hidden. And we were piecing together, and we've still been piecing it together off camera together. And these cards are literally what came, and then we've got the Ten of Wands, the burden, and the Ten of Pentacles, the family responsibility. So, could he also have been the victim of this curse on this energy of this woman? That, because again, it came through in the hunt, that with drinking it lowers your vibration, so you're open to entities, you're open to external energies. Paul Branwell is drinking heavily, opium, laudanum, all of it. His energies open. These cards are blowing my mind. Basically, it came through that in the garden. We possibly would have been in their garden at one point. Anyway, in the graveyard, that See how my throat's going? Excuse me, that he possibly killed himself. Now, could there have been involvement with the Masons? Could the Masons have helped to cover it up? Because, like we said, in the graveyard, being the parson's son, back then, suicide was a definite no-no. So to get him buried in consecrated ground to keep the face of the family, was this, because again, when you research it, his death is very sketchy. Like a lot of things back then, they didn't test people. So, and these cards have blown my mind. But then I'm also seeing the fact that one of the Gracies also tipping something into her third eye. You've got to also realise as well, they would have all been drinking, it was ale, they wouldn't have been drinking water like we drink water. I was totally not connected to the Brontes, but I was reading a book recently, a historical fiction, like a gothic book. And I was surprised at how opium and is it the same thing? I don't know. It was like they took that for like we'd take a painkiller, or you know what I mean? I've got period pain, Ordiman, and we look at that opium, and we look at that now and think, what would that have been doing to them? But from a psychic perspective as well, these three women were possibly on totally different planets because of that. Do you know what I mean? Drinking the alcohol, the ale, or whatever it would have been, the laudanum, the opium, the energy, the cursed land, the death around them. I mean, how dark do you want to take it? Could he have been like a sacrifice? You just don't know. I've got an itch here. What's the reason for these cards? Excuse me, what's the reason for these cards? The Magician. Oh, and the Devil. The Magician and the Devil. I'm not going to delve too deeply into this type of stuff because, to be quite, I don't like it. I don't like all that when it starts going too dark. We don't really need to sink into it. But you've seen me shuffling on camera. Very basic kit. There's no magicians here that are pulling cards for me. You can see the cards coming out. You can know the connections between, a lot of you know about societies and all of that. And all the rituals that they have to do that can be quite, well, not quite, but are quite dark. The burdens. Was Branwell also being exposed to things within the lodge? Yeah, that, because I also read as well, I don't want to go too deep into it, but here she goes straight in, that one of the things you have to do is you have to do something that terrifies you, one of your rituals. So there is that. I don't know whether that's for you guys or for me as a confirmation that there is something not right in the history of it all. And the weird thing is as well, when you go into the parsonage now, they've got a hanky of and Brontes with blood on it. And I've been obsessed over this, and I've said I'm sure that's fake. When I was tuning into it earlier, what I was shown was that yes, the hanky is Anne's, but the vision I was shown was it's Anne going round the village, coming across someone ill, and giving them the hanky to cough on or whatever, and it being their blood and not. There's something with, and because I'm looking, because my hanky's here on the side, just balled up on the side like that, which I wouldn't normally do with that, but there you go. So there's that coming up. I saw it in the cards. The energy around this Anne Bronte handkerchief. What's the energy? Is the Anne Bronte handkerchief in the parsonage authentic? Okay. Got quite a few cards come out. The family, the Ten of Cups. These are all for Ace of Swords, the Truth. The Four of Wands. We've got the Transition at the bottom. So that's Charlotte and the baby that she never gave birth going to heaven, her husband here. Let's keep pulling. The Hermit. The Three of Swords. The Five of Wands. The battle for souvenirs, the battle for knowledge, the battles. So it's that even looks a little bit like the parsonage, a little bit, very little bit like the parsonage in the background. Ace of Swords is the truth. The Four of Wands. That reminds me of Scarborough Castle. That gives me the Scarborough Castle vibes. The Hermit. I mean, because we were discussing this over, would somebody... Because now we've got two conflicting narratives now. Or have we? Were hankies hard to come by, that you'd save a hanky that somebody had coughed on and blooded on? I don't know. I know if I'd give somebody a hanky and they blooded it, I'd say keep it. But this is the village where body parts swirl down the street when it floods from the graveyard. So God knows what they're doing. I'm interested to see what comes after the Five of Wands, the Seven of Wands, Five of Wands clarifier, the Queen of Cups, and again the transition. Have a Four of Wands. I mean, Four of Wands is also marriage. Ten of Swords, betrayal and burden. All of this over an handkerchief, Claire. Shut up. Ten of Pentacles, money, position, power, family. There's a lot. Pull a card from here. Okay, Wisdom of the Oracle. Why is my deck mixed up? No, it's not. All that glitters isn't always gold, the mask's slipping. So the Brontes have died. The belongings have gone into someone's hands. A card for this, please. Let's have a card. Oh, okay. Oh, God. A card for this piece. Okay, that's not helped. Come to the edge. Has it helped? Peace. Come to the edge. Can it all be true that she gives the hanky to someone while she's in Haworth? She coughs in, they cough into it. It's their blood. There's just this weird vision I had. She goes to Scarborough. She takes the hanky with her that somebody's goughed on. Like you wouldn't. Let's ask Emily. She's saying that Victorians like to keep mementos like that. They viewed death and disease and illness very different to how we do it. She says we weren't as precious as we are now. She says we weren't. She said you've got to again stop looking at it through your lens, Claire, of sterilisation, antibacterial wipes, bleach, washing up liquid, all of that. I'm not saying washing up because it's got right in front of me, some washing up liquid on the sink. Victorians were very different. They grew up with blood, piss and shit, she's saying. We grew up with the smell of blood, piss and shit in the street. That's interesting. I'm going to have to be a bit TMI here. But I don't apologise because everybody's like, don't apologise for it. But you know when a woman is on her period and she smacks the sheets, she doesn't just chuck them out, does she? Well, some women may. But you wash them. She's saying that's the same thing with them. And it can all be true that you would have gone round in Victorian times, somebody's coughing up, you'd have taken your hanky out and given them to it. They'd coughed into it, bloodied it, and you'd have took it back. They didn't have the knowledge. I'm looking at it. She's saying, this is it. Stop looking at the Victorians through the lens of a modern day woman. We got there in the end. Thank you very much. So you would keep, like now, if my brother was, God forbid, dying like that and he goughed into an hanky, I'd chuck the hanky. I wouldn't keep it with his blood on it. But back then they kept mementos. They weren't precious like we were. Again, these were raw, wild people, raw, wild times. They had more to worry about than... And she said, and don't forget as well, washing your clothes wasn't as easy as just throwing it into a washing machine. And on that note, I need to wipe my nose. Anyway. So we got there in the end. It can all be true. I just wanted to do that on camera because I didn't want to keep having to shuffle on it. And then you've got her box of stuff, and whoever was left behind, I think it was Nicholas Bell, wasn't it? He then takes it and whatever does with and it falls into the wrong hands, the right hands. I know there was a big stampede for stuff afterwards. So anything else you would like to say? What advice would you like to give? What's the one bit of advice from being Emily Bronte? She's saying never stay trapped. No coward soul is mine. Never stay trapped. Never apologise for who you are. And know that your story will be manipulated and disjointed. She's saying many people are having creative blocks because they don't want to step into that wildness within them. They're trying to, society has told you to suppress it. She says even now with the way the modern literary world is, people can get very offended at certain things, I'm not going to go there by the way, in books compared to in the past. Certain words have got to be... I was reading a book last year and a certain word was used and they'd left the first word in and lined the rest. So you knew what the word... And it's almost like creativity has to be wild for it to work. You can't just be a creative and just keep it all small. It's got to be wild. And that's why many people are struggling. They're struggling to be seen and judged. Anything else? One card. Let's scoop these cards up and see what she wants to give us with the cards. Interesting. I'll take that. I'll take that. 6 of Cups at the bottom and 2 of Cups here. So ourself, our connection with ourselves and our connection with the past. And also there's a card from this deck that wants to come up. What is this deck? Oh, it's the Believe in Your Own Magic. That also looks like Heathcliff and Cathy on the moor. And as I said that, it was 44.33 on the phone. Lavender, surround yourself with. Can anyone see what I can see? Anyone that's watched this and thought, is she bullshitting talking to Emily Bronte? No, I'm not. That's the 3 sisters. That's also Emily out in the wild. Expectations, don't seek anyone's approval. Says the woman that created Heathcliff and didn't give a fuck about it. Her language, not mine. folklore, portals, beings, mythical beings. We've got the three. I know that's a modern day depiction. Imagine it Victorian, the three sisters. You can't make it up. Literally, you cannot make it up. The mirror. A mirror can be a portal. The portal. The table in the dining room with the candles on, the books on. There are even old-fashioned books there. Little bits of heather and lavender, and also one of them wearing a witchy hat. So I wonder if one of them was that witch. It's connected back into that story I told you about the witches, which is in Haworth in 1501, 1503. Connection to Pendle, cursing the land where the church was. Excuse me. The Two of Cups. Is this, was Emily the witch that did it? That had to come back and live there and go through that pain? Ooh, there's a lorry going past. My light will be affected right now, just for a minute. The past, dealing with the past. The Four of Cups. Emily on the moor again coming in. And the angel. I think she was. Let's have a card for it. I do the cards because I think you guys like to see the visuals of it. Because I know a lot of you like cards and like working with cards. I mean, like that card in itself, you can see. You know what I mean? You can't, you know what I mean? Were you the witch that cursed the land at Haworth Parsonage? And that's why you had to go back there, experience that pain, get frozen in time there, lose your mind to some extent, lose your brother, lose your siblings, lose your mother, and because that's what happens when you put curses on things and land. We have to come back and experience it. So if you curse someone or hex someone, you will come back in a future incarnation with that person to deal with that, to deal with what we've dealt with, what we've created. Okay, card's fallen out, okay. A Page of Pentacles and the King of Wands, yes she was. Bless her. Well, I'll tell you what, if you've seen that ghost on, you'll also know that, I mean, Emily was a great person, a great human being, and she's cleared that. But she also then went on to become, I always get it mixed up, Alfred White, who was James Herriot. You're going to have to watch that video, like I said, it below. I'll put it, I promise you'll put it below. I'll put the ghost hunt. It's on the Thackeray's YouTube channel because I go into it in more detail, but she then went on to become the person that did the James Herriot books, who lived in North Yorkshire and was a vet. So she's cleared it. And I think I'm so glad I did this reading with you all today. I knew that getting in front of this in Haworth, with you lot watching and surrounding the table. See, I'm doing it on a little wooden table as well, where there's 3 seats and I'm the 4th. Maybe I'm Branwell. Okay. Ooh, freaking myself out. Yes. I'll show you these cards again. That card just blew me. I know it's a modern setting, but it's 3 women with the table between them. Those of you know the story of Haworth Parsonage. So yeah, so that's why. One aspect of why the Brontes had to experience what they experienced. They had such lives of many different layers, and they weren't afraid to show it. Emily wasn't. Parting of the deck, final card for everyone watching, from Emily Bronte, from her heart to yours. Clean it up. Clean it up. Clean your life up. Clean your soul heritage up, face your darkness, face your demons. You know, sometimes I'll be doing one-on-one sessions with a client and I've had some right crazy past lives. And you'll say, I don't know, you drowned your wife in whatever. But oh, I never did, I'm a kind person. Shh, shh. No, you've done it all. By the time we have finished our incarnations, we have been and done it all. And yeah, wow. So, where's she going forward to now on her evolution? 10 of Cups back to the parsonage. The parsonage in the other dimension. Not that bloody charity place over there now. I'm not knocking charity, it's a charity now, but the energy's gone. Anyway, she's going back to her siblings again, 3 sisters and a brother. And isn't it funny that that depiction is usually mum and dad and 2 siblings, I think it is. She's going back to have fun. Next, it's 1 brother and 3 sisters at the parsonage. So, back to the parsonage, in the sky. Plus remember as well, time is not linear. So I'm sat here now and the family that lived here are sat here now. There's a man walking past. Such a rubbernecker. And you go into the parsonage, but it's all happening at once. Remember Dolores Cannon's work? The work with Nostradamus. It's all happening at once. So yeah, thank you for spending some time with us. Love to you, love to Haworth, love to your siblings. And we will see you later, Emily. Thank you for watching. There is a playlist on here where I have channeled all of the Brontes now. So it's the channeling playlist. There is a plethora of different people from all walks of life that I've channeled. Work your way through it. It's called Channeling Famous People. It's a fascinating playlist. It's my favourite playlist on this channel is the channeling one. And I try and make sure now every month I do 1 person. That sounded disgusting. But anyway, yes, go work your way through it. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Have you got any spooky stories of Haworth? Have you stayed in Haworth and heard that? I swear to you, I even heard the body cart go past as well, but that's in the other video. Go and watch that ghost hunt. Don't get put off with the word ghost hunt. I promise you it was ethical. And it was a mind blower and it's worth watching. But if you're going to do this work with me to catch up, so the videos make sense to you and you can weave them in together yourself and bring the jigsaw in yourself and so you know the pieces. Love to you all. Yeah, bye and bye from the hearth. I think next time you see me I'll be back in the room with the big mic coming down, triggering everyone. Because people get triggered about that mic, but I quite like it. Anyway, see you later. Bye.